Welcome again, another edition of the Franchise Nutrition and Fitness Podcast. I am Matt. I'm a certified personal trainer, certified health coach, and currently working on being a certified nutrition coach for whatever that's worth when I work alongside a registered dietitian. But it's more credentials than letters to add behind my name. And I'm here with.
My name is Ryan. I'm a registered dietitian and a certified dietitian nutrition coach. So I'm a little bit further ahead of Matt on the nutrition coach frame, but I'm also a dietitian. So I've just doubled my knowledge, I guess. I don't know.
And together collectively with my fitness background and Ryan's kicking my ass in the nutrition background, we are Franchise Nutrition and Fitness. We welcome you once again to the latest edition of the podcast. If you haven't checked out any of the previous podcasts, we've been doing this for a while, actually. It's amazing. I go back and listen to stuff and scroll through Spotify, which is one of the places you can listen to the podcast. If we're not on any platforms that you or your friends listen to, let us know. Shoot us a message through franchisenutritionandfitness.com. Set up that initial free meet and greet. Don't just listen to us yak at you every Thursday. Come work with us. Come allow us to help you meet your fitness and nutrition needs. And I know our most recent podcast, we talked about fitness and nutrition while you're sick. If I still sound a little nasally, amazingly, I just got over another of a respiratory infection. It's crazy. I work from home. I go to the gym, so I'm around people a lot with that, I guess. But then I think it happened that I went to go see In This Moment last Tuesday, and then I went to go see Jim Jeffries the Saturday after, when the doctor was asking me, like, where have you been? And they're like, oh, I have been at public gatherings. That's probably why I'm sick. So check that out because I actually had to get some of my active recovery in and take a few days off from the gym. So check out that podcast. So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, Ryan?
Yeah. Well, I haven't been going to Braves games, large crowds of people like Matt has it all the content.
Yeah. So speaking of, I'm heading to one right after we're done recording this podcast.
Hopefully they can wrap it up on a good note. I just saw that we're recording this episode on September 20th, and Ozzy, man, out again.
We're lucky to have Vaughn Grissom, like next man up. That's the reason they built the franchise the way they have. Like, they've got a good farm system now. So, and I was reading, or actually earlier today, maybe back for the playoffs potentially. So,
oh, okay. I was trying to explain to somebody fiscal responsibility from the Braves, previous acronyms that they've used, or not acronyms, but I guess sayings that they used. And I couldn't find the image of the person that made that awesome fiscal responsibility shirt that had it was the Braves font with the tomahawk underneath it and said fiscal.
I always loved that, and I love the this team makes me drink logos, because I need one for the Falcons this year. That's insane.
The Falcons, man, they continue to hold records that no one wants to hold.
Yes, I saw a graphic of the number of games of it was just the screenshots of like their leads in the fourth quarter they've given up, and it was so weird watching this last Sunday where they were the one trying to spoil another team's lead.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I know that they played the Cowboys last year, I think it was, and they lost in the last 20 seconds of the game or something. That's one of those.
Luckily, I have the Braves. We both have the University of Georgia football program that's very impressive. And unfortunately, they gave up a touchdown for the first time this season on Saturday.
Yeah, and what is best with that, though, is kind of what we do at Franchise Nutrition and Fitness. We iron sharpens iron. If you want to cut a diamond, you need a diamond-shaped laser. But the beautiful thing with the Georgia football program was that the defensive starters said, if you're on a field, you are the starter. You have to play like the starter every time you're on the field. So, and he said, we have to do a better job of dictating that to the people on the field, so that way they don't allow touchdowns.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what we do. We help people get better. We help people achieve all of their nutrition and fitness goals. Whether it be through changing the diet just a little bit, or change your exercise program just a little bit, so that way you can perform better, or you can look a different way maybe before to look. Kind of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, because like we've seen action-packed sporting events that we're talking about, and I know you're a big fan, and I'm certainly a big fan of good blockbuster action movies. And so today we're going to talk about some of our favorite action movie physiques, and I'm sure we're going to have at least one in common. I
Yeah,
know we're going to have one actor in common. It's going to be interesting to see if it's the same movie. So yeah, like
yeah.
be interested to see like what our listeners think as far as their favorite action movie physiques as well.
It is difficult. So, um,
I know because initially when you pitched this idea, you pitched blockbuster movies and not where I would go pick up a VHS tape on a Friday night and a video game to enjoy the weekend. Not that blockbuster, but blockbuster movies, and that's difficult to define. So how do you define an action movie?
okay, so this is where I started having problems. So, like Matt said, with the blockbuster thing back in previous time, I guess, blockbusters was equated by a dollar amount, and then it got changed to how many actors could you jam into a movie, and then there was a release date deadline to be a blockbuster movie.
Also, you think of like summer blockbusters, like yeah, it has to be like that May to like August or whatever. Like,
Yeah, like it was so it got impossible to define a blockbuster movie because it's like, was it a blockbuster in 2022 or are we talking about blockbuster in 1999? Like whatever, what how do you define this kind of thing? And then the action genre of movies, that also I thought was odd for me. So I'll just throw out my very first thing that I was going to say. My very first one that I was going to pick, which turns out that it's not an action movie.
ooh, all right, all right. So controversial pick already off the bat. All right.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be an action movie. I really did. So I picked Brad Pitt from Fight Club.
See, I almost went with that. And so I'm guessing they consider that a like a psychological thriller drama.
Drama. Yeah. It was like, I really thought that was going to be.
So funny enough about that movie. So that movie came out in 1999. So I was 13 when it came out. I effing hated that movie because you think about a 13-year-old kid, like big wrestling fan, big like action sports fan. Think, hey, it says Fight Club on the marquee. There's not a lot of action in that movie. I didn't appreciate that movie till probably like 7 years later when I rewatched it after reading the book. I'm like, okay, this movie's actually fantastic and it's actually in my top 5 favorite movies now. But yeah, so that was like my first runner up pick. I did almost go with Brad Pitt Fight Club. So
Yeah. So it doesn't count. It's quite annoying. So I was like, I really thought that was going to be the thing. But when you narrowed down your picks for actual action movie, what were you saying makes an action movie?
I was kind of looking at like some kill count. So like lots of explosions, like lots of gunplay, stuff like that. So I'll go with my one of my lesser picks because I feel like we're gonna build up to our ultimate pick, and I want to say we're gonna share our ultimate pick. So
Good bet.
I'm gonna go with The Rock, but not The Rock in a movie you would think. I'm going with The Rock in The Rundown
Oh,
because it's the opposite of what you think. Because when he first came out of his WWE run, they wanted him to cut down because they were scared he would like dwarf his co-stars. So he's actually so much leaner in the rundown than he is in like anything else that he was when he was at his ring weight, because he was like 275 when he wrestled. So he's like every bit of like maybe 220 in the rundown. So he's lean, he looks good. And then you think about him now, where like he's like looks like he ate the Rock, from his WWF days.
I really thought you would have picked if you were gonna go with The Rock, you would have gone like Red Notice, like more recent, but he's like
see that I did want to do that. Like I want to do like one of the Fast and Furious, but whatever. Like, but no, like I'm impressed with him having to lean down and look like a human being in the rundown, like to where he's like he's humongous and he still like is so much bigger than Sean William Scott in the Rundown, but like he's not like this caricature of a person as he is now, which is fantastic. And I think we all like achieved to want to look like The Rock.
Okay. That's a good one. So the next person, the first one that I was like, action. All right, I gotta, because the first one I thought of was like, oh, fight scenes, stuff like that. That would count as, action movie, but apparently you need a lot more explosions, like Matt was talking about. You need some kind of chase scene. Usually there's like some amount, I wouldn't say death necessarily, but some amount of fighting is also involved. So my next thought I immediately knew was not a drama. So I went with Sylvester Stallone in Rambo 3.
Okay, all right, nice. Because like you have like a whole impressive body of work to like be able to pick any like Stallone movie essentially.
Yeah. So this is just straight up from Google over here. But this is just Rambo 3 Stallone. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Like I love how like so if you're just listening to us on Spotify or many of other platforms, Ryan has decided to do share screen to actually show. So you'll have to Google it yourself. Like,
yeah. But I also want to go ahead and take the time to point this out to those of you that are listening out there. We are converting all of our previous Spotify episodes to video, so now you'll be able to watch all of our previous podcasts if you've never checked them out as video on Spotify.
So you can watch how much Ryan moves and how much I use my hands. It's really entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
And you can watch how and see how Ryan has pennants of the UGA behind his wall and behind him. And then you can actually see the marks on my wall where I move a lot and I scrub my desk chair across the wall. And so I periodically have to take a magic eraser to scrub down my wall. So it's going to be really fun when I decide to move.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a fun time. But I realized for the people that are out there listening, you can't see Sylvester Stallone in Rocky 3 or Rambo 3 because the Rocky movies, you can't because they're all dramas. All the Rocky movies are dramas. They are not action.
Yeah, see, I would not consider. I would consider it a sports movie. Oh, so there you go. So it's a sports drama. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't consider it an action movie. So there you
go. But Rambo 3, I'm not sure where it falls in the timeline of Stallone and his like moviedom. I know that it came out in
1988, right? I think.
Yeah. So I'm not sure like how like because the first Rocky movie was like his first big movie. And that was like I want to say it was like 86 or something like that. Or 85.
No, the first Rocky?
Yeah, the first Rocky.
No, those are late 70s.
Late 70s? No way.
Yeah.
Man, 76.
Yeah.
All right. So he had 12 years to build that physique from Rocky to Rambo 3.
And lots of tests and HGH and other things, allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly. Well, I don't have to say allegedly with him. He's admitted that. So there you go. Like and like I hope Sylvester Stallone is listening to this podcast right now and thinking, I'm gonna sue Matt because he said I was on performance enhancing drugs. Because then I'm like, holy shit, like Sylvester Stallone listens to our podcast.
Or maybe he'll sue us because you said allegedly and he said no.
No. I want everybody to know, like I am.
Need them to know that this was the brand that I was taking.
he's got an endorsement deal with like an HGH company. Like,
yeah. Man. But yeah, so Rambo 3. I don't know. It was kind of this weird phase in there where he's really lean, like a Frank Zane kind of lean from
fun reference.
But he's not really big. He's not like huge and bulky. As he got older, he just worked on, I guess, getting bigger as all the additional steroids that he was taking. But allegedly. He was like really, really, really lean and incredibly muscular looking in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, he looks like he can beat some ass. Not nearly as lean as Brad Pitt. To me, Brad Pitt's always been like the be all end all, like in Fight Club and like I would love to have that physique, but I enjoy eating and drinking too much, so like that's not happening. And plus genetics.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so then who's your next pick?
All right, so my next pick is going to sort of lead up to my number one pick. I felt like this list for you and me was probably going to get a little sexist, so I wanted to add a woman to it. So we're going Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2.
Oh, nice. Good movie too.
Yes, fantastic movie. One of my favorite sci-fi movies, one of my favorite action movies. Because you think about like the evolution of the character. So 84 Terminator with the Sarah Connor character, like seeing the evolution of that character in that movie and what it eventually becomes. Like, oh God. Spoiler alert, she's, the mother of the leader of the resistance. Against the machines. Yeah, I spoiled, yeah, a 40-year-old movie for everybody, but yeah, sorry. But like to see like where she becomes like this badass in Terminator 2, that's what that was film what came out in 91. Like I always remember the scene.
Bullets in that.
That's it. Yeah, boom. That was what came to my mind. Like the scene, because I remember seeing that as a kid, just like her doing pull-ups, like when she's in the psych ward. And still, like I look at that to this day, and I'm like, I look at like the musculature, and I'm like, I'd kill to have that musculature. Like,
Yeah, that was like pre-CrossFit. Like CrossFit didn't exist, so like women weren't just like walk around jacked like that.
and she was doing like strict. So you talk about CrossFit. She was doing strict form pull-ups. She's not doing like the kip up bullshit. Like,
No kidding. No kidding involved.
so
She's a
like they're
straight
nice
wrestler, man.
strict form. Like she's lowering down. Like yeah. So she looks like a badass in that movie. So like yeah, I figured if we're going gotta be equal opportunity. Figure hell of a female form, badass female. Yeah, Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I was trying to think of a female also. And it was joking because I was like trying to think of things, and it was like an action movie, action female lead, and that was hard. Like a action female lead. Uh,
Oh, so you're more sexist than I am because like I had another one that I was going to use. So I guess
okay.
we'll do runner up picks.
Well, I was gonna say Demi Moore in GI Jane, but also a drama. So also
Yeah,
didn't
it's not an action movie. Yeah.
not actually definitely not. Um, and then I jokingly thought Pam Anderson in Barbarella. But I don't know if that counts as an action movie. Definitely things blow up in that movie.
Her biceps are not her biggest asset. Movie, but
No, definitely not. Um, but let me see if I can find the picture that I was thinking of. I went very old, very old. What's her name? Man, I had it written down and then I forgot what it was. My son scribbled on my notes. So I lost
I
it.
want to make sure that we corrected somebody corrects this for us. So you said Pam Anderson. It was in Barbed Wire. I think you said Barbarella.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
Barbara. Yeah, my bad. That's what I thought though, because I mean that's basically what it was. Um, uh, it was in Conan the Barbarian. Or no, this is not Conan the Barbarian. It's Conan. What's the second one?
Destroyer.
The Destroyer. Grace Jones. So if it'll finally pull this up, this is annoying. So Grace Jones from New York started acting, but what I thought was really cool about Grace, the Queen of Gay Discos is her nickname. The Queen of Gay Discos.
It's a hell of a nickname.
Yeah. So, where is it in here? She played Zula, the Amazonian warrior, in the American Sword and Sorcery Adventure film Conan the Destroyer. So, and then she also played Mayday in James Bond, A View to Kill. And then she also played vampire queen in the comedy horror movie Vamp. So I thought of her in Conan the Destroyer because I read somewhere that when they were training for that movie, like going to the gym and stuff like that, that she would go with them and she would keep up with the men on their exercise. Of course, not the same weight that they were doing, but the same like level of
Or
intensity,
like proportionate,
and
yeah.
all of those things proportionally, and that a lot of the men admired her for her ability to keep up with them. Like she never backed down from doing exercises or sets, and she would just jump in, and they would rotate around, and she was just in the same roles with them at the gym. And I thought that was the coolest thing
That's awesome.
as far as like a female physique. I know it doesn't really necessarily apply exactly to the quote unquote best body, but the success is in the work, right? Your success when you're thinking about your own nutrition and fitness plan isn't just how you end up looking at in the mirror. If you can continue to add weight, add reps, add intensity to your workouts, if you can stick to your own nutrition plan for a long period of time and without making any quote unquote mistakes or big errant errors, like you completely fall off and you don't follow anything for 4 days or more. If you're able to do that, that is still success. Even if you don't see the mirror change, if you don't see the scale change, if you don't see like those things, like you're still making progress, even though it may not visually appear that way.
Yeah, and so many people like even like we're sitting here on a podcast talking about best physiques in action movies. Yeah, so many people like it's live or die by the visual changes. But there's so many great things you can do for your body just by changing your nutrition, just by going and hitting the gym some. From increased energy levels to better sleep to better blood panels to you name it. So like it's not just all about the physical.
Yeah, that was my number two. So I went with Zulu, the Amazonian princess, and Conan the Destroyer.
So you said it was difficult to try to think of a female one. The one that came to the top of my head, besides Linda Hamilton, and this is probably cheating because I recently watched this movie for the first time a few weeks ago. But like, I watched Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron. That like like I'm so impressed with her. Like she became this badass action star. Like after she turned 40. So like she just like she looks like a just a I don't want to say a monster in the movie, but she's fairly jacked and like because they show her they want to show a lot of scars and battle scars and stuff, so she's fairly unclothed in parts of the movie. So like it's like okay, that's a lot of muscular shit there. So that would be like kind of my runner up. So my number one, so we're gonna go drum roll please, would be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What?
Yeah, I got a weird
What
for
movie
both of
though?
us. I was gonna say like kind of take your pick, but I went with Conan the Barbarian because he's so
All right.
fresh off his bodybuilding career. Like like he's humongous in that movie. I almost went with the first Terminator because like he starts to look a little more human in that, despite playing a machine. But like if we're just going like impressive physiques on the silver screen, like come on, like Conan, like he's effing Conan.
Yeah, and they did like all those shots. Like here, just play with this sword.
Right, right. And just like basically
End
do
up in every
bodybuilding
pose.
poses with a sword. Like that's
If you are a man and you have watched any of these action movies, especially Conan, and you walk by like a random stick, you will start doing all of the sword actions from Conan.
like
So,
I remember like the first time I saw it like on like TBS at like 10 o'clock in the morning, like a Saturday, just like as a kid, I was like, this movie's awesome.
oh man. And even now, like when they put it on TV now, they have that sped up tape things. So, like they talk really quickly in certain parts of the movie to try to make it go faster. That's still great. Um, let's see. My number one was also Arnold Schwarzenegger, but mine was Predator.
So I always went with Predator. And like, funny enough, I was having a conversation last night about Predator and like gesturing like I am now. Like To me, if you want to talk about physiques and like a movie that just your testosterone will go through the roof just watching it, like come on, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, and Jesse Ventura. Like
Oh yeah, that
I'm
handshake is like you could pick like multiple people in that movie if you wanted best physiques on.
like I want to run through a wall when I watch that movie. Just like I am ready to just like Pumping Iron does that too, but like that's a cheating because like it's a bodybuilding movie. Like of course they're working out, but like just watching like a bunch of like military guys fight an alien that's killing them. Come on, and there
Oh yeah,
it's those people like
yeah, especially like the showdown scene, like the build up to that where he's covered in the mud and he lights the torch on fire. He just screams to have the predator come to get him, like that right there. It's like, all right, it's time to go lift. We gotta go.
yeah. So many just memorable Jesse Ventura quotes that I won't say on this podcast because I don't want to get canceled. Like that.
Time to bleed. Time to bleed. You gotta go. But yeah, all of those people in that movie are just ridiculous. We were discussing, my wife and I, what makes a movie a chick flick. So a chick flick is determined by there has to be someone doing something out of or for the purpose of love. So The Predator does not count as a chick flick because there is nothing for love in that movie. That movie is strictly
they love each other as a unit. Like
that is like, for example, another Arnold movie, Jingle All the Way, could still be considered a chick flick because he's trying to do stuff for his son to get his son the Turbo Man doll. But that, still, and it's also like for his wife and all the blah blah blah. So those are like, that's kind of the determining of a chick flick. Because I was rattling off these movies when we were talking about, she's like, that's a chick flick, that's a chick flick, and I was like,
so Fight Club's a chick flick.
Yeah, that's totally it's a drama movie too. So I mean, like the Rocky movies are all dramas, but Rambo probably not, except for one of them. I can't remember. There's one that was like women are involved. He's like, it's like the thumbs up. Like the Rambo, I'm gonna save these people because I love.
Oh, that's the second to newest one. That was that one they just called Rambo.
Yeah,
like 2005. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just like, I'm a boatman now in the middle of the jungle, but I will randomly shoot this 50 cal gun and no one. I'll be perfectly fine doing it. So, yeah. But either way, I thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was a fun kind of thought, just thinking about things the other day, because it's really hard. You got to do a lot of work. I realized that we talked about at the very beginning that Sylvester Stallone admitted to using lots of drugs to help him achieve his physiques. But it is hard, even if you took all those drugs, like you still have to do the work.
Yeah, Stallone's not sitting around doing nothing. Like, yeah, he's busting his butt in the gym. Like he has, some ergogenic aids. Like, and we've talked about before that, risk versus reward. Like, yeah, sure, you want to look like Stallone? Awesome. I really don't want to die, even though I guess he's lived pretty well. So
I do know some people that took some of those aids and they did not have physiques like Stallone, but they also didn't do the work that he did.
Right. Like he's a machine.
But if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast, what are some people and the roles that they played in the movies they were in that you think were amazing physiques? And if you're looking to try and build your own physique, you're training some things about your physique, head on over to franchisenutritionandfitness.com and sign up for your free meet and greet to get started doing that today. Otherwise, go back, listen to all the other podcasts, share those podcasts with your friends. We want to know what they think. What are the best action bodies that they think they've seen? So anything else, Matt?
I think that's it. Like, I guess, I'll be back.
After the next Braves game.
Hasta la vista, baby. Like,
Life is every week. Maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.